Hannah, and I'm part of the youth group at Centennial United Church in Stayner, Ontario. Because we live in a rural area, and many of our church families are involved in farming, including some of our Sunday school, we were interested in the work farmers do, the challenges that they face while farming, and how farmers in our area might be impacted by climate change, while at the same time working to protect the environment. We wondered what they thought about organic farming, since we hear so much about it being better for us and for the environment. We also wondered what the impact of all the development we see in our area might be having on farming. So, we decided to interview local farmers, to hear their views, and to learn more about what they do.
Hi, my name is Kelly Colquitt.
I'm Alinda Irving from Centennial United Youth Group in Stayner, Ontario.
I have with me today Brian, Anita, Caitlin, and Lucas Dunlop of Dunlogan Farms in Stayner, Ontario.
I have with me today Heidi Sterenberg of Rural Roots Nursery and Edwin Sterenberg of Cashtown Dairy Goats in Clearview.
Thank you
for spending time with me today.
Can you tell me a little bit about your farm and what you produce?
Soybeans, azuki beans, white beans, and wheat, and chicken.
I run a small greenhouse where we sell bedding plants and vegetable seedlings and hanging baskets and things like that in the spring. And then in the summer we produce vegetables and cut flour.
We produce goat milk. We milk about 500 goats over here, and all the milk is being picked up and being made into cheese. So.
What do you love about farming?
I like that I can ride with my dad, and I like being outside.
You get to work with your family. I love seeing things grow. So when you're growing crops, you get one chance per year. I like the challenge.
I like to work, like I said, I would like to work with animals. You get to set your own hours. It's, it's nice and, well, I wouldn't say relaxing, but I mean, I really like the work.
I really like following the seasons. I really like that there is a time for rest and there's a time to sow and there's a time to weed, but no one time lasts very long and then you're into the next time. So by the time you think I can't plant another plant, it's time to turn your attention to weeding, and then when you think I can't weed another plant, it's time to turn your attention to harvesting them. I really like following the seasons in terms of what's blooming and what flowers are growing and what's happening in nature, and I really like eating seasonally. And I really like that it's physical work, it's outside.
What challenges do you face?
Manpower, I think, is probably number one. And we're fortunate, we have very good help here, but I think most industries right now, that is a concern going forward in the future.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, yeah, that's always a big challenge. We have a small window to work in.
Knowing our own limitations a little bit and that you can't just work constantly, you have to find a little bit of balance. Every day is a new challenge. It's either a new pest or it's a new bug or it's something new is happening, but that's kind of the part that we like, is the problem solving and making it right.
You know, the ever-changing weather and markets, I guess, the pricing of your product.
Or are you an organic farmer? Please tell us why or why not.
We're growing birds for Swiss Chalet, a 5-pound bird, and they're antibiotic free. We use pesticides and commercial fertilizers. I'm just going off of memory, we're growing 262% more food between now and what we were producing in 1950, and using 2% less crop inputs to do so. There's a lot of discussion around non-GMO and organic, and there's a lot of data that shows that if we were to all grow organic crops, we would lose 2 to 3 billion people because there wouldn't be enough food to support feeding everyone.
I'm a conventional farmer, so I do use herbicides and fertilizer, and we do use antibiotics in our livestock. The choice I made for that is, first of all, the bank didn't really want me to be organic because it was not a very certain market.
It's very risky.
And a very small market too. Like, a lot of people want to get into organic goat milk, but the market is very small. So that's why I decided to go conventional. And also because our land base is fairly limited. We only have 100 acres here, and I got to grow enough feed for 600 or 700 goats. So we need to use fertilizer and herbicides to make that happen.
We use no conventional pesticides or insecticides. We use a very small amount of conventional fertilizer on our seedlings, a very small amount in the spring, and the rest of it is we use green manure, so when we plant a crop and till it in to add fertility to the soil. Also very lucky to have a stable source of goat manure that we can compost and add to the soil. It's sort of a privilege to be able to farm the way I do, though, and the only reason I can farm the way I do is because Edwin has a milk check once a month.
Have you made any changes to your farming practices to reduce your environmental impact?
We also use cover crops, minimize erosion and hold nutrients back. So there's a lot of improvements that we've seen over the years.
There is a on-farm recycling programs for all the plastic containers.
Using auto guidance on the planting and the custom application equipment. There's section control, so there's no overlapping. So we're not planting extra seed or placing extra fertilizer or spraying extra.
One of the things that I've been adapting pretty early on is to not work my soil in the fall, because the land's kind of hilly around here. So if I would plow it up in the fall and we get a big melt in the spring from the snow, all the topsoil will actually wash out. So that's what I do to prevent from that happening. Other than that, of course, we do use herbicides and fertilizer, but we try to, limit it as much as we can. We don't want to use it willy-nilly because it's, first of all, it's pretty expensive and it's not good for the environment if you overuse it. So that's why we do take the soil samples to make sure that we don't put more on than that we have to. So.
I'm slowly using more and more landscape fabric, and I did a lot of research over a long period of time. We use drip irrigation where we can because it's much more effective. We are definitely seeing pests moving in, new pests, and for longer periods of time. So we use a lot of insect blankets to keep them off so that we don't have to spray.
What do you think about the development of the land for housing and uses other than farming?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that one. Especially prime farmland and especially for large developments, but people have to live somewhere, so I'm glad I'm not the one who has to make those decisions, that's for sure.
On the one hand, of course, it seems kind of nice when you're ready to retire and some project developer comes and offers a lot of money for your land, but I mean, like Heidi said, this land is not going to come back after once you put houses on it. So, everybody wants development, but nobody wants it in their backyard.
This is our backyard. This is where we farm. We can't farm in the city. So if you're moving our backyard, this is what we do. And we'll respect your space. And we'll respect our space. We're here, we're going to grow crops. So.
What impact will such development have on the future?
Well, it's going to be pretty tough. Like if, Blythe's going to take the farm over, she has to, compete with developers that are offering a lot of money for your land. That makes it pretty tough for young people to get in. It's hard enough as it is nowadays, and that's not going to make it any easier.
It also forces far fewer farmers to produce far more food. On less land. And efficiency is wonderful, and efficiency is why we have more food security and safer food than at any time in human history. But there becomes a point where efficiency is too much. And it puts a lot of pressure on, only 3% of Canadians are involved in farming now, and that's part of the problem is that so few Canadians have ever even set foot on a farm or know anything about farming at all.
It seems everyone, especially with COVID now, we've got new buyers in the area that want to be living in a rural setting, and we've had cases where we're working late at night and we've got abutting neighbors that have complained about noise or the lights or the odor.
What can we as youth or even the general public do to help support your farm?
Buy local is the short answer to that. So
By seasonal. So one of the things that blows my mind is when you go into the grocery store, and we live 10 minutes from an apple co-op, and you go into the grocery store in September, which is prime apple season in Ontario, and the apples are from Chile or New Zealand.
Eat local. That's one of the things, I guess. Support locally. That 50-kilometer radius seems to be a good thing that's catching on right now.
Thank you to the Dunlop family.
Thank you, Heidi and Edwin, for your work in agriculture, and thank you for taking time today to share your insights with us. You've given us a lot to think about. Then, when the interview was over, we got a tour of the farm with Blythe and her cousin Bethany.
We're gonna just show you the babies. Then we'll start with the biggers. Sometimes it's a little stinky, and sometimes I need to pluck my nose. These are boys. These goats are girls. And big goats go this way.
Big goats here.
These are mediums.
All of these are like teenager goats. Wait.
Yes. He will.
Okay, it goes all the way back there to the other bark.
Gang expands in the back. This metal is for goat pens. All right, it's milking time in the barn. So now we move on to where who's having birth. These goats, yes, they're giving birth. Yes, but it ended up with babies. And all these goats get to milk now. Sometimes we get to see the babies and they end up somewhere. It's called the goat nursery. And this is also the goat's food. We can get up here, but it's hard to push it. We can't. It's our hard labor every morning.
And we also got to help Caitlin and Lucas place their chicks in their barn.
These are my chicks. We have 25,500 of them. And these are the birds that you can eat at Swiss Chalet.
We learned a lot from these interviews with our church families. We were surprised to find out about the financial implications of organic farming, and that it might be a privilege few can afford. We discovered that there are many other ways farmers are working hard to be sustainable and protect the environment. We were encouraged to discover that helping them in their farming endeavors can be as simple as buying local. We thank you for watching and offer you this food for thought to start your conversations. Take some time to share some of your experiences on a farm. What are your thoughts about organic versus conventional farming and our environment? And how do you support farming and farmers in your day-to-day lives?